Hey y'all,
Hey.
we have a new face today. Sandra's out for personal reasons, and Tara came through. I don't even know. I was gonna say an
Yay.
analogy, but I couldn't think of one.
It's Triple T Sunday.
Hey, Triple T Sunday. You know how you say like we in there like swimwear? I wanted something like that about Tara coming in for us, but I couldn't. I couldn't figure it out. It's because I got brunch drunk earlier.
Oh,
I took Beyonce's advice. I released my job. And so, my last day was Friday.
hey.
So I got brunch drunk today. I took a nap, a brunch drunk nap right before we started recording.
Nice. I just took a nap. I wasn't drunk. I just took one.
Nice.
I was
I,
watching cartoons and fell asleep.
ooh. What cartoons were you watching?
I was watching The Owl House.
Okay.
It's a Disney Channel show about this girl who I think well, you think she had a dream, but she basically fell through some portal into a world of witches. And
I'm into this. Send me
yeah,
in.
the Owl House, and she ends up in a house with a witch who's played by Wendy Malick, and
Hmm.
the witches are in this world where they're ruled by some sort of emperor who tells them what kind of spells that they can cast, and if they should only cast certain types of spells, and it's kind of fascist. And um, basically, and then there's whole all these monsters, but there's lots of life lessons to kind of help young people get through. And the main character, Luz, she's queer. She's learning that she's queer. She didn't know she was, and she came out during one episode. And but it wasn't like a big deal. It was just like, I like girls. I like this one girl witch. Yay, everyone likes it. So it's like
I
no
just
big
added
deal.
it to my watch list.
I mean, the show wasn't a big in the show it wasn't a big deal, but for Disney it was a huge deal. So
Yeah,
but yeah. So it's a really good show. I like
I just added it to my watch list. How you been,
it.
Tara?
Yay.
I've been fine. I've been like neglecting my work just because too much is happening in the world. So I was like, I'm gonna play The Sims all weekend. And so I've been entertaining my circle, my Twitter circle, with all of my messy Sims, which are way messier than this show. Because like my one Sim, I just finished playing with her. Now it's her daughter is the matriarch. But like she got a divorce because her husband made out with her aunt at the wedding, and then she like went to a different planet and met an alien. Now they're married. She got abducted by aliens. She's pregnant with an alien baby. It's just very messy. But we love to see
Damn. I would love if that was what was happening on GH, if only.
Mhm. If I wrote
Uh,
this
I have just been really spending, aside from releasing my job, I spent a lot of time laughing at the Harry Meghan content on the internet. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoy Prince William slander. I really enjoy King Charles slander. And it is out there in abundance.
contributing to it, so I know.
I do know that you're contributing to it, and I love it. I love it every single time. I've recommended that many people read Spare. People have done it. So that's really what I've been doing.
I'm going on a trip to London in April. And so I've been kind of like waiting to read it because I kind of want to like immerse myself in the London experience when I like read like I want to read that book on my way to London and have
On
it
the
like
flight.
on the flight.
It's a 12-hour flight, so you got
Yeah.
plenty of time.
And then I read this week's soap opera digest, and when Finola Hughes said, what her favorite drink was, an elderberry something, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that. So when I get there, so I'm like trying to collect London things to experience while I'm in London.
I know that's right.
Right?
And and she also loves Beyonce. So when we went to
Yeah.
Atlanta Live, I asked her about Beyonce. So anytime that Finola Hughes and I can talk about Beyonce is a good time.
If you want to get Tudor meat go to Hampton Court. They have a working kitchen, like a working Tudor kitchen. It's like 10 miles outside of London, but it's
Huh?
like the last of like the Tudor palaces. No one lives in it. It's just kind of like a museum. It's like frozen in time. It's my favorite place to go to in London.
Oh, cool. I mean, let me know the name of the place. Okay.
Hampton Court,
Hampton Court.
where Henry VIII lived and Queen Elizabeth I.
That's detail right
I
there.
love that as soon as we started recording, somebody came out and started talking, and there was an ambulance. Like,
Oh, and you're
it's just like literally two things. As soon as we started recording, I was like, okay.
well, I live outside of Motorcycle Highway, so I got to mute myself at some point because it's closer to the evening.
Same with me, except helicopters. Eventually, helicopters will fly to downtown LA, where I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, I can kind of talk, but I can't start the recap until one of those things stops. All right. Are y'all ready for the week? I don't have an Am I the Asshole this week, but next week I
You
will.
know who the asshole is this week, probably.
Exactly. Exactly. I said, ooh, what a week for Tyra to be here. Is it going to just be an hour and a half of like Nina dragging? And it might. So, both apologies and you're welcome up top. All right, let's get into it. The week. In the world of CarSonaRewillow, Carson, Sona, Crew, Millow, CarSonaRewillow. Millow forgives Carly, doesn't forgive Nina. Michael is not so forgiving. Willow decides that she will induce her labor to accept bone marrow if Nina is a match. There's some other fighting and jabbing. Those are the important things. Portia and Curtis talk about having another baby, and we get a drive-by Taggart visit because he saw a picture of Trina and Spencer in the paper. And well, the Kim is the Kim, said Taggart. In another strange set of scenes, Curtis and Portia try to convince Hat Daddy to play his clarinet at their wedding, but he refuses because his anxiety only lets him play in a band. Curtis also pressed him to revisit his schizophrenia diagnosis. I watched those scenes twice. I still didn't get it. Anyway, Nicholas and Liz talk about Esme's memory. Liz tells Nick about how her parents suppressed her memory. She later joins Violet and Finn to talk about dimming Violet's light and their breakup. Speaking of Esme, she is moved to Camp Prison with Heather and Ryan. Heather hits her with some very unhinged doting as she plans to slip out and attack Joss again to protect her baby girl. Moving on to the young man trying to take custody of Esme's baby, Spencer was busy talking to everyone but Trina about it this week. He consulted with Diane, who schemed with Ava. He also got into Joss and Cam's breakup by having a run-in with Joss at Kelly's and working to convince Cam that there was more going on than a simple breakup. Cam hears from Liz about Willow and leaves his shift in the middle of his shift at Kelly's to find Joss. Dex answers Joss's dorm room door shirtless, thinking Cam is the pizza guy. Which, I mean, can you blame him? Cam does have a lot of jobs. So let's not be too hard on Dex. Finally, Vanna is still in Paris. The only people who care about Lucy, and they're getting closer to finding her. Unnamed on this podcast, French chick says she will keep help Valentine and Anna navigate the catacombs. She's an old contact of Valentine who puts her hands and lips all over him, which we don't like. But she is also planning to double cross them. Surprise, surprise. And pretty much that's the week. I mean, some other little things happen here and there, but that was pretty much it. Ooh, not a great week. How did y'all feel about it? Tara, you're our guest. Tell us, how did you feel about the week?
On my background is how I felt about it.
Can you tell our listener only people how you feel about it who can't
Oh,
see?
just like it's the 10th floor nurses station on fire. Like it was just I don't think it gave to anyone in this fandom because like if you the whole week was based around the CarSonaRewillow nonsense. And so, like, if you are Team Nina, because why this Sunny doesn't matter. If you're Team Nina, you didn't get what you wanted because Carly wasn't broken down and sad. But then, like, if you're a Carly fan, like, you don't want to see this in it to begin with. Like, who wants to see it? And so, oddly enough, the only point in the week where I was actually moved was like Hat Daddy talking about how, like, if he doesn't have schizophrenia, that he wasted his whole life. I was like, random, like, damn, that's so true. That shouldn't have been the moment.
They had Marshall giving the performance of a lifetime for a dumbass story.
A terrible story.
It's terrible. I was like, y'all got this man out here acting for this
And
horrible story. And
yeah,
it's a no from me.
it's
Wow.
so trash.
Tell us what you think. I know that Hat Daddy is your favorite, Tanya.
I hated that Hat Daddy was my favorite this week. I hated it. But yeah, I had there's a couple of moments which I thought was fun with Anna um and the French lady. That was hilarious. Um but yeah, there were like this week was just kind of like a blah week. I think my hot take for Friday was um the episode that's coming on Monday should have been on Friday. like
Mm.
I'm like that's like I didn't yeah. Actually that's what doesn't work for me. It was like we have to wait for Monday. It's not working. So yeah, this week was okay. It was all right.
It was not giving for me. I will say, I mean, Vanna was like my highlight of the week for sure.
Yeah.
Um, and that gets into what's not working for me. To your point, they were this scene. So like every day they pick a scene to like post on like line, like the GH official account. And so on I believe Tuesday they posted Vanna, and it was 3 minutes and 16 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So other scenes or like days you get like 5 minutes or whatever. We only got like this is the story that I think is like carrying the show right now.
Mm-hmm.
That is like I mean like in soaps you should have like controversial stories and people are going to be on both sides. I actually don't mind that, but you should also have like a story that everyone enjoys. And Vanna is that story. And that
Mm-hmm.
story should have more than 3 minutes and 16 seconds. Like, this is a couple that people like, telling a story that people like, connecting with characters that people like. And they're like, let's drop this in the bucket and have them connected to no one else. Sorry, I'm getting too far into it. Point is, Vanna was my favorite part of the week. I loved every part of Anna looking at that French hoe like, what's going on here?
She
Hoe
called her
spelled Heaux, by the way.
Oh,
low for
no.
those who want to speak French.
Like every part of Anna looking at her like, what is this?
She called her a sewer rat. She was like, "Ooh, I thought you were look like some sewer rat, but look at you, beautiful, as beautiful as a sunny day." I'm amazed. I was like, get it because it's
That was
dope
that English shade.
Right.
because she's from England and historically they hate each other, and so
English and French, yeah.
she said, "Get your French little ass out of here." English rose all day.
And Finola's just so good at it because her like every little inflection of her face when you go back and watch it is always funny. Like when she came in, she had the gun, even though she was like still cradling it. Because like we know Finola Hughes, Anna Devane knows how to like carry a gun, and just like her cradling it while she was watching Valentine and that woman,
It was
hilarious.
giving me New York eating the apple with the knife and just
It, it made me cackle. out loud. I was like, that was the hot take was Anna with the gun. Yes.
Hmm.
Hilarious.
So, Tanya, tell us who's your performer of the week.
Well, like I had said in the beginning, I didn't like that he was my favorite of the week, but he is. Robert Gossick got my points for this week. Simply because, I mean, I started off super irritated with him, but then I was reduced to tears at the weight of, because he was talking about how, if the diagnosis was a misdiagnosis, then he would have disappeared for no reason. And I was sad for him and I was crying. And then I was irritated again for him being so stubborn. I mean, here he was. First, they asked him if he would go and get a second opinion, and he was just like, no, no. I was just like, why? I mean, here you have another doctor telling you that maybe you might want to get a second opinion because you might not be as sick as you think you are. And he was just like, no. And he didn't give a reason why. The fact that it took 2 episodes to get us to break down and figure out what was going on with this man, it brought me back to my irritation of him being so closed and stubborn and at the reason why he left in the first place. It got me back to that irritation, and I was mad at GH for getting me back there because I was somewhat at a point where I could tolerate him. But then he got back to that stubborn quietness, and I was just like, what the fuck? Get out, get out. And then and then he starts talking about, well, because if I get this wrong diagnosis, that means I left you for no reason and I did this. And then I started thinking, oh wow, yeah, that's pretty deep. You messed up your whole life because some stupid doctor told you the wrong thing. And it started me thinking about, that's a lot of things that Black people are just wronged by white people by a lot. And I just carried that, because I was like, yep, like our whole life is ruined because some white person had did us wrong. And so I carried that and I was sad for him. But then I got irritated with him again because after that, people were like, yeah, like Curtis was like, yeah, Dad, all that was bad. But if we get a new answer, then it can, lead to new things. It'll be great things. And he still was like, no. I'm just like, dude, they're trying to help you out. They're trying to give you a better life. And you're still like, no. So yeah, I have to give it to Robert for eliciting irritation, sadness, and irritation again. That's some skill. I appreciate it.
I love the journey you just took us on of your emotions with that, Daddy.
Can I say I was team Hat Daddy though? I was kind of like, Portia, leave him alone. Like, leave this man alone. Like, no means no. And then like my issue is not necessarily with Portia, it's with the motivations they give Portia because she's not doing this for him. She's doing this for Curtis. She's like, well, Curtis would really like it. And it's like, okay, when do you two stop thinking about yourselves and what's best for you and like Portia and Curtis are heading towards Sona levels of self-centeredness, in my opinion, because they're just like every part of their story has to
Oh my
do with like
God.
in their freaking relationship and what makes them happy. And like Trina has to be nice to Curtis because that's good for Portia. And like Trina has to do this for Portia because Curtis asked, like, because it makes his life easier. It's like, when do you guys consider anyone else besides yourself and possibly Nina Reeves? That's my question.
Yeah, I think but this also comes up to like the connection between characters. Sorry, I'm gonna keep talking about what I find to be wrong. Like the connection between like that is Jocelyn gonna have a problem with Curtis being so close with Nina? Is that gonna cause a problem with her and Trina? Because like she at some point, like everybody, like your bestie can't be friends with all your ops. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she was like for cool about the Ava thing. So I think that like that doesn't even come up as like organic conflict, which is part of the reason that chaos never worked. And they were never invested in because like the very organic conflict that's right there wasn't talked about. I will also say this week I really enjoyed both Laura Wright and Kathleen Getty. Um, there's something for me about like understand. I mean, Laura had to be like dehydrated. She was crying in every scene, and it was like I appreciated it because it was like understated. It wasn't like sobbing, it was like a steady stream of tears as a part of these conversations. And I find that to be impressive, like as a performance. And then I think with Kathleen Getty, who I've always been kind of about Liesel just because. Um, but I've never been about Kathleen. I think she's phenomenal. And part of the reason that Liesel is still there, like the only reason that a character like Liesel could still be there is because they were played by somebody so great. And what I loved was her just like comforting of Nina and like trying to center her and being like, listen, I love me some revenge. I love some revenge, but you gotta chill. And like that performance of it and like the regret about Bread and like she's still carrying that and she is one of the few characters that is still carrying Brit to the point of me caring about her dying. And that's really a part of Kathleen's performance. And I think she's been just doing a phenomenal job.
And she still wants revenge. She's like, I'm
Yeah,
still,
yeah.
still gonna get the person that takes my daughter.
Like,
Don't do as I do. She's like, don't do as I do as I say.
she went from telling Nina to not go after Carly to being like, where that hoe Esme at? Is she still here? Where'd she go?
So never mind, I'll find her myself.
Right.
Okay.
Shout out to Dex for like going to like bang Jocelyn immediately after realizing he had the day off. Like Sonny was like, I got a lot on my mind, I gotta go. And he was like, cool, Jocelyn, you need a ride home, girl? Let's go. Michael and Sonny are in the hospital. This man ain't got no fear. He's living on the edge. He don't care.
He's
and
so
I love it.
yeah, he's so living on the edge that he's like, okay, Jocelyn, yeah, I'm gonna leave him. I just have to do something.
Dex is whipped. When did this happen?
Whips right now.
He was like, don't worry about Jocelyn, how do you feel? Can we talk about how you're feeling right now? I'm here for you.
He was
Come on,
like,
girl.
Carly, I think your mom did okay too.
He was like, Nina's her mom? Oh. Like, I'm like, Josh, what have you done to this boy?
Taking sides. It ain't even his fight. He's in it though.
He in it.
He's in it.
He's in it.
Hi, you dead? I have another shout out I want to give.
Oh, please, sorry.
Also, shout out to Mara West and Nicholas Chavez. Love them together.
So good.
I loved her when she's like, "Oh yeah, you need a partner." Like,
I need
yes,
Ava to adopt him. Adopt him, Ava.
right. Let them move into Windermere with Esme's baby and just live happily ever after.
Name the baby Kiki.
Oh.
First
No,
there is that ID badge that Esme left underneath Ava's burning car.
no, but seriousness, two powerhouses together, being friendly yet still adversary. It was wonderful, and I can't wait to see more of it. Also, I think this was I think they were trying to do some sort of relationship test between Austin and Ava. I'm not quite sure about relationship, but I did like the scenes, and I'm super excited to have, hopefully, Ava help us get what's behind Austin's, secret boss. I'm like, who the hell is this boss? They need to tell us already.
Yeah.
I should be Heather.
Yeah. Victor, one of the things he's doing. If we're on to this, the thing that was working for me is the possibility of Austin and Ava. That's what's
Yeah.
working for me. I actually really love Roger. I hated that he was playing Franco. Um, I was like, I don't know, I just like love him as an actor. I think he's so funny, so talented, such a good performer. And I like his chemistry with Ava. I hadn't thought about them being paired up, but when I saw it, I was like, yes, this is it. This is what I want. This is, I think on the internet they're being called Jolts for Jerome and Holtz. Yeah, Ava Jerome, Austin Holt, or Gatlin Holt, whatever. Jolt. Which I'm into. I think they bring the best out of each other. Like we got two just like uber talented people, and we're gonna put them together. Yes, 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 yes. I love it. Let's do it. Like he was clearly not a match with Maxie. Um, he is a match with Ava. I was like excited about the possibility of Viva because I wanted her to be a Cassadine. But you know, if she can have her boo Austin on Spoon Island, let's get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, because they showed chemistry when Roger Howard was playing Franco. They were
Yeah,
friends. Like Franco and Ava were friends. And
she
so
he they thought he might be Kiki's daddy.
yeah, so I think, this is obviously natural and I don't understand. Well, I guess because she was with Nicholas, but I'm glad she's not with him anymore and she can be matched with someone, both the character and Maura West, with someone worthy of her talents.
What about you, Tara? What's working for you? What worked for you this week?
Um, you know what really worked? Watching Nina suffer while she like thought about all the time she was terrible to her daughter unprovoked. And then like her just completely compartmentalizing all that and going and blaming Carly. I loved it because I saw it. I wrote the scene myself. I was like, this is exactly what she's gonna do. She's gonna all these times like, oh, remember when I got her fired from her job even before Carly even knew any of this tea, and I was just being a complete monster to her. Disregard all of that. It's Carly's fault once again. And so I loved that because it's consistent. It's consistent with Nina being a psychopath. So loved it. I loved Maurice memorizing some of his lines this week. Was proud of him.
Uh,
Tanya, for you, what worked? Also, I love Nina suffering. I'm going to talk about that in part of my. Oh, you know what? Let me say this though, so I don't lose this thread.
okay.
I'm tired of this story not making sense. So, I'm clearly a Carly fan, but I get frustrated because everything about Nina has to be put up alongside Carly. And if you want this character to be a character, let her stand on her own. It's not like, well, you're mad at Nina, but Carly, how about you talk about Nina when I talk about Carly? Carly is a character. I've been watching this show for 20 years. Carly's been my girl since the day I started watching, and she was in the panic room. So I'm gonna forgive Carly for some stuff that I'm not gonna forgive Nina for. That's just period.
Mhm.
Fair, unfair, whatever. This is what happens when you've known a character for years. I knew Anna Devane on my children when she was with David's toxic ass. So when she got with Valentine, it was nothing to me. I was like, yeah, of course. Why not? I didn't even really need to be redeemed to get with Anna, to be honest. Because I was like, she gonna sleep with her dad again. What are we gonna talk? You know what I mean? Like, who cares? So when you know a character for a long time, and when someone is like a character that you are like invested in, it's the reason I can forgive, not even forgive. I don't even like Liz. Everybody knows I don't like Liz, but I can laugh about her having a teenager locked in the tower in a way I couldn't if somebody who I didn't know had a teenager locked in the tower. I know Elizabeth Weber. I know her children. She's a staple on this show. I don't actually need to put her up against another character or another character up against her because there are things that I'm gonna forgive Elizabeth Weber for and keep watching because I know her. Sam McCall, despite the fact that she ain't never on, I know her. If she watch another baby get kidnapped, I'm gonna forgive it. What are we talking about? Who cares? So like with Nina, there's just like no concept of her standing up on her own. It's all but Carly did. We're not talking about what Carly did. We're talking about what Nina Reeves did. And like the story, if you don't put her up just against Carly, doesn't make sense. And I think that aside from like people on like a few people on Twitter who I think where I think that Nina probably has like the biggest audience or the biggest fan base, it's not, and it's kind of unfair for Cynthia. It's not just the character, it is how poorly written the character and the stories are.
Mhm.
So you have the story with Carly just telling Nina. Now, I said a while ago, I said this, from jump, that Carly should have told Willow because Willow actually came from a cult where people had been lying to her whole life. And so to have someone else who claims to love her in her life lying to her is really messed up. I said this from the very beginning about Carly. I said Willow had every right to be mad at Carly. She chose, because it's Willow, to be like, we good, girl. So that is what it is. But the idea that Carly's secret kept Willow from like maybe living doesn't make sense. It doesn't make timeline sense. Of all the things that we've seen in this storyline, what makes anyone think that Willow would have taken bone marrow before today? She didn't even want to induce her labor now. So if she didn't want to induce her labor now, knowing that Nina was her mom would not have like made her induce before. It like doesn't make sense and it's frustrating. And that's why I think people bulk against the story so much because it's so forced and there's no thought or finesse put into it. If you said, oh, Carly has robbed Nina and Willow from time with each other, sure, that's true. But this idea that she robbed her from like time to live doesn't make any sense. And I think that like I said, it's why people bulk against the story because they just say anything and it doesn't make sense. Anyway, that's my soapbox. That's not even for this section. Wanted to make sure I said it. Tanya, what's working for you?
Well, I mean, we talked about it. Ava and Austin is working for me, liking it. Finally, they're giving Austin a story. What also worked for me is that Fizz is over for real. They finally had the conversation. I guess what needed to happen was they have the conversation with little girl so she can understand. But even though she was like, "Oh, well, maybe you guys can get back together," and like, no, but we're still a family and we still love you and you're just awesome and sweet and kind and wonderful and I'm your aunt and we can hang out and we can go camping together and yeah, we can sit together in your picture, but no, we're not getting back together. That I loved it. Thank you for ending it. It's over. Put a cork in it. There's nothing else happening.
Get rid of it. It was awful.
It was awful.
Yeah. I would say I have another thing that's working for me based on that. What's working for me is them pretending that Violet doesn't know about breakups when all Finn does is break up. Like that's his whole storyline. It's like
Right.
Aiden with Anna, and now she's like, I don't understand what's happening. Like,
yeah, like what you and Anna when y'all broke up.
performer of the week, Jofio Love.
Yes, and her brother, who was he was the little boy that went to Paris. Her brother.
Yeah, the little French kid, because they are French. Their parents are French, so they can actually speak French, unlike other people on the show.
Oh, the shade. What's not working? I have so much, but what's not working, y'all? Tara, as a guest, you can go first.
Um, having Trina just taking a days long nap is not working for me. Like, where is Trina? And like having Spencer do all of this stuff and not be considering Trina along with it. Like, because he was in these great scenes with Ava. Ava had to bring up the fact that, like, are you guys talking to Trina about this? Like, you're just adopting children. And then like he just goes to speak to Diane, still has not talked to Trina about this. It has me nervous about what could possibly be happening. And so like I think that like, and I hate to say it, but like the issue with Sprina is that they keep doing all these stops and starts, right? Like, oh, we're gonna like start fake dating to investigate Esme, but then she crawls out of the sea. And so now that's done, you know, and now she's pregnant. And so like now he's gonna adopt this baby, which just like puts a stop. Oh, he's gonna work at the gallery, they're gonna see each other all the time. We're gonna have this. No, he's going to prison. You know, like it's all these stops and starts. And then when you put it up against something like Jex, who are like fucking on every flat surface in Port Charles, you know, they've only known each other for 10 minutes in comparison. It just seems very is jarring about like, what are you doing with Sprina? Like, I understand it's a slow burn, but this is like a no burn at this point because now she's taking week-long naps while like Portia and Curtis try to get Hat Daddy to play a recorder solo on the Haunted Star in the room that Kiki died in. So like that's what's not working for me, unfortunately.
Not the room kicking. Yeah, I mean, so like I like Jets as a character, as a couple, because I like Jocelyn. Dex, I can take or leave. You know, my real ship is actually Michael and Dex. That Kim is the Kim. No shade. But you know, I like Joss. I think they have great chemistry. I think they're cute. But I love Sprina because I love both Spencer and Trina individually as characters. And I want Trina to like be a part of like an epic romance. And Sprina has all of the ingredients to do that. And they choose to like, to your point, stop and start it. And to like put Trina in this, like, it is actually really frustrating to me to have Spencer not think about Trina in this. When the endearing thing about Sprina was how much Spencer cares about Trina. When you date a Cassadine man, when a Cassadine man is in love with you, he is in love with you. He right or wrong, he might do shady stuff, he might do whatever, but he is in love with you. You have to forgive the things that he does because he's in love with you. And so this idea that Spencer would be like, do you think I should talk to her about it? So the last thing that we saw of Trina is that she's fighting with her parents about being in any sort of like relationship, friendship, anything with him. And then for him to be like, oh, should I consider her? That doesn't even make sense. It doesn't even make sense as writing for Spencer for all that we know of Spencer, because Spencer is always considering Trina. And so that writing was just extremely off. And it definitely didn't work for me. It made me very upset because, like I said, that's not who the character of Spencer is. And that's not what we want to see building for Sprina.
Yeah, he had a whole like, let's talk to Cameron about like the chaos breakup. I'm like, can you go buy Trina a Valentine's Day gift? Stop this. Like, why you got time for this? Or they broke up. Who cares? Like,
I
if
have
Cameron's
something.
so great, you date him. Y'all not really blood.
Did you have something to say about that? Because I do have something to say about the Spencer Camp thing, but I don't want to talk over you, Tanya. Please, if you have something about that.
The only thing I was gonna say was it's not Valentine's Day to her. But I was like, but yeah, go ahead and buy her a gift.
Got it. We're close. We're a month off. He should be thinking about it. Like, what was she like? Does she like chocolate? He should be asking people. Like, you should not
Yeah.
be talking to Jocelyn about why she's not with Cameron. You should be talking to Jocelyn about what things Trina like.
Yes.
Your fake date. To
Right.
You need to be trying to give her back your art book. That's what
We're
you need to be
talking
doing.
about, oh yeah, like what you said, like, okay, so now our, fake relationship caper is over. How do I get her to like me for real? Those conversations, that would have been fun.
And it's also not really over because the hook is not out. So
Yeah.
like that's the thing. Like Spencer should be trying to get closer to Trina. So instead of Trina being like, I don't think it's Esme, it should be Spencer saying, I don't think it's Esme, and we need to keep this ruse up. Like
Yeah.
that is what makes sense for
Yeah.
like who Spencer is as a character, because he's gonna want to constantly be around Trina. Now I know we do have scenes coming up with Spencer and Trina, but it just is not at the level that I think that like as fans we deserve, considering how long we've been waiting for this couple. Like it's just not, they are not giving them the story that they deserve as like actors and as characters who have been through so much together. But the other thing that didn't work for me was that incel light conversation that Cameron and Spencer were having. That bullshit, like, I'm so mad at Josh for breaking up with me. Stop it. Stop it. She broke up with you. You actually like, I'm hurt, I'm frustrated, I'm da 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 da. Especially if you keep telling me how good of a guy Cameron is, then let him use good guy language. The like, I'm mad at someone who said that they no longer love me and they don't want to be with me anymore. No, I'm not. I wasn't feeling it. Um, I get where they're going with it. They want to like build this thing out, but it just it wasn't giving what it was supposed to be giving. This idea that he would like go straight to her dorm, bro. Pick up the phone, call her. You know Willow's in the hospital. You go to her dorm. It's like those little pieces of the story that like don't make sense. You know, like even if it was like something like I would have liked for the foursome, Cameron, Jocelyn, um, Spencer, and Trina to have like spoken about the kind of danger that they were in. Jocelyn maybe would have told them, for example, that she was attacked. Like they don't know that yet. And then like it's something like, oh yeah, because of that, we share our locations with each other. It's awkward with me and Jocelyn because we're broken up. And then it would have made it, you know what I'm saying? Like, give me some stakes, give me some reason that I should care. Because at this point, I kind of don't care about Cam catching her with Dex. They're not together. And like from Spencer, this idea that like it's bigger, it's something more. Who cares? Y'all not together no more. And Spencer actually does not have any expertise in relationships to talk to him about this like this. I just
It would
I
have been
see what they were
better.
doing. I just didn't like what I see what they were trying to do. I just didn't like it.
It seemed like a conversation that would come from Scott because he's so erratic. And he'd be like, Cameron, you're the greatest guy ever. Like, I just feel nervous about this and stuff. It didn't really seem like a Spencer conversation. I felt like Spencer go buy Trina an ice cream.
And you're like, Spencer, you got money now. Go spend it on Trina.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, yeah, Jocelyn did cheat on him with Dex, but that's actually not why they broke up. And the show does such a bad job of connecting, like, and this is the thing that makes me so frustrated because we have such like interesting characters played by such talented people that we could really do the thing that soaps really enjoy doing, which is like exploring characterization. So like, why aren't we talking about the fact that like this Dex is like a reclamation of Jocelyn's sexual power that was like taken from her by Esme? Like, how are we not talking about that? That
Because
doesn't make any sense. Huh?
we're
Oh,
redeeming it.
yes, that's
Can't talk
true.
about
True. But like it's just, like there's just no connection between like motivation and like what people are actually doing. And even when you have like a character like Nina, for example, who was not wrong when she was like, Madeline took something from me, a crime was committed against me. It was like, but girl, it didn't just happen to you, it happened to Willow too. Willow, who has been through so much, Willow's life has not been easy. And then like she goes and just talks about herself. If this is a character I'm supposed to be seeing is anything but selfish, then like write dialogue that is something besides selfish. Like these are the things that are not working for me. Like actually make these characters who you want them to be, and like if you want people to be like conflicted, if you want whatever, do it. Like how is it that Nina sat up in a room and didn't call Liesel? Not like for support, but to get tested. The only other person who has been tested, or at least said they were going to be tested, was Dante. Nothing. Even now, like the whole town should know, so everybody should just be flocking to GH to give bone or to get tested, right? Where are the rest of the quartermain? Like it just anyway. I'm sorry. This is my
I mean,
rant.
not even, yeah, I mean, I guess there's only like, yeah, Liesel should be tested, but I guess that's it in the
That's
family
it. Hmm.
is Nina and Liesel, but everybody in the town really should want to get tested. Um, so yeah, that is definitely a mistake on DH's part. I had another thing. Um,
Yes.
so with the scenes with Nicholas and Victor, Nicholas was like, "Oh, so you and Ava discussed my divorce without me?" And he was pissed, and I was pissed too because we missed that opportunity to have that conversation. And so I was like, "I feel your pain because we should have seen that. It would have been an amazing scene between Ava and Victor that we should have seen." And so I'm mad at, GH having the audience miss key conversations, so that's just an example. And we missed the conversation of Laura reading Nicholas read like she should have been, because when she found out that Esme was pregnant, we missed a key conversation that everybody couldn't wait to see. And so I'm mad at GH. That's not working for me. I need you guys to stop using filler. Like, you could just get rid of Cody. If you need more scene time, get rid of Cody so that way we can see the actors we actually want to see in scenes.
You don't want to see Cody? Is that what you're saying?
I don't want to see Cody. He's not working. And neither is you filling up time with him, and we're missing other actors who we actually want to see. So Frank, text us and we'll tell you right away. Get rid of Cody.
I got my own Zoom now. It's my personal Zoom. Chris and Dan. There's a whiteboard app. I'm happy to have you come. We can like storyboard out. We can talk about history. Even like what Spencer was talking about. I mean, because one of my favorite Michael scenes in the entire history of Michael is when he took Avery from Sunny and Carly and was like, I think I'll call her AJ. Like, just epic. But Spencer's like, yeah, like when Michael took Avery, you mean when your cousin took your cousin? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like, you're related to these people. Just because GH doesn't like talk about him being related to these people doesn't mean that he's not. It's just so weird. Like, there's just like the lack of connections being made. So bizarre and such a missed opportunity um, to like be telling better and richer story.
I also think that GH has a huge that they like to tell not show problem. Like they tell us things. So like you have like they're telling us that Nina is very selfless and cares about Willow, but then like the dialogue they give her is like selfish AF, right? Like everybody's telling Carly that she did this for self-centered reasons, even though she's listed out the reasons why she's done it. There's like, no, we don't believe you. Like Spencer's bringing up Michael without like acknowledging the fact that he did that for revenge. Like Sunny being dangerous is always secondary in Michael's mind. Like it's always about revenge with Michael, where like they're clearly wanting to write this as Spencer being very altruistic. Like this isn't about getting revenge against his dad. This is about, or against Esme. This is about protecting his sibling, right? But that's not actually a good story. Like, I'd actually prefer for him to be just like, well, fuck both these people. I'm just gonna take their kid because I think they want it. Like they want the kid, and so I want it, and that's messy soap. Instead, they want it to be like him this like mature moment, which makes zero sense. Like Michael was a better choice because he was the CEO of ELQ. He wasn't some like fresh out of prison twice in a fucking year ex-con, you know? Like there was a difference in the story. Like even like when they're taking like the Sam and Alexis mother-daughter reveal, right? But like they even had Sam and Alexis get to a point where they weren't necessarily sniping at each other for their crimes against each other by the time they found out, right? It was actually got to be a beautiful moment. This wasn't beautiful, and then they didn't let anybody read anybody, to be honest. Like, I guess some people liked the Nina scene where she was like, "You bitch," and it's like, cool. I wasn't, moved, but if other people were, that's fine. But then, like Michael, like, oh, he doesn't forgive Carly, but he does. Willow was mad about what she probably should have been mad about, but she's too sick to be mad. Like Sunny is just like, I saw something like some people sent me some stuff from Twitter, and I mean, me and Tracy talked about this. Like, don't be mad that Carly's not crying in a corner. Be mad that Mo doesn't take the show seriously like he did in 2011.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yes. I mean, so I do not really do. We talked about this last week. Still Twitter in the same ways that I did before, so I don't really see a lot of the conversation. Um, but I do know that there was like two separate conversations. Like one was that like Harley never gets like punished or she doesn't get um whatever. And my response to that was that's actually not true. Part of what people I think want to see from Carly is like her broken down and crying. So, oh, consequences was the question. Like, she never gets consequences. So the bar keeps moving with that character. And instead of people just saying, which would be fair to say, I don't like this character. I've never liked this character. I'm never gonna like this character. There's nothing that could happen that would make me like this character. Instead of saying that, there's always like a reason. But
Mhm.
it's fair to say that about a character. There are characters I feel that way about. I'm never gonna like Cody. Who cares? Like I'm just never. It's not gonna happen.
Right.
Um, I'm never gonna like Liz is never gonna be my girl. Like it's just not gonna happen. It's fine to say those things. So it's like, oh, at first it was Carly never gets anything happens to her. So we're like, okay, well, she got a hotel taken, her husband, like she lost Morgan, she's been in a mental institution when she shouldn't have been, and no one cared. She almost got electroshock therapy. Oh, well, that's not enough.
Shot in the head
She
with
Yeah,
got
I
locked.
mean,
She got
with a
locked in that
panic
room.
room.
Panic room.
but it's like, but that's I guess that's not enough. Okay, cool. So then it was like, nobody gets to like yell at her. Or I'm like, well, she did just like eat crow a bunch the whole week was like people telling her about herself. But it wasn't enough because like God forbid Willow, who's on her deathbed, is like, I'm not gonna waste this time being mad at you. Probably for the reason I said, which is that Willow wouldn't have taken the bone marrow anyway before now.
Also,
But
Carly has been, I guess, the closest to a mother that she's had outside of Harmony.
right.
Like she will never feel mother-like feelings about Nina ever.
Right. And she
Maybe
shouldn't.
in the future. They'll
I
write
mean,
it.
considering what Nina has done to her, Nina has terrorized this girl. But and even up until like finding out she was her daughter, she went to the girl's house and questioned why she made the decision she made. Now I agree. I wonder what the hell Willow was thinking too. But you storm up at her house in the middle of the night? Like
Right.
she's
In the
just
dead of
been a
night.
monster to this woman. But yeah, so anyway, it's like, oh well, she doesn't catch consequences. Well, the consequences that you want was like you wanted her to like be crying in the corner about the Metro Court. Say you want her broken down because saying that she doesn't have consequences actually isn't true. And also, she's in like deep relationship with people, so it made sense that Sunny would be like reading her, but the rest of her family, she's in relationship in a way that their reactions actually made sense. It'd be different if she didn't tell and like she held on to the secret after she knew Willow was sick. That's when you like you're a monster. But she was wrong. People are wrong all the time, and then you forgive them, especially when somebody's like dying And then it feels like you feel like more of a time limit on it. And then the other piece that like I got sent a bunch of like of Sonny like reading Carly in the past. Like, oh well, this is what he should have done, like to her this time. Well, first of all, Sonny can fuck off. And second of all, like, are we mad that Sonny can no longer be as verbally abusive as he was before? Because Sonny was a piece of shit before. And like, I know Tara, like you that he's one of your favorite characters. And I think that I saw him in some of the like the things that he did really differently, 10, 15 years ago. But like, we're never gonna get another Sonny reading Claudia Zakara at her birthday party moments again. Like that's just not gonna happen. I'm not saying that the idea of a man doing that may never happen again, but it's never gonna be Sonny who people want to be this like moral center of the show.
Also, Sunny is the least affected person in this entire story, so I didn't actually need him to be the one reading her for Phil. Like, he has fuck all to do with any of this. Like, Nina should be mad, Michael should be mad, Willow should be mad. Why should Sunny be mad? Like, what Carly right down there with you now? Like, she's come down to hell to be with you again. So what's the problem?
Even this idea, he's like, I changed. Okay, yeah, the thing that you changed is that somebody else used to put people on a meat hook and now you do it. What do you mean you changed?
Right.
You're like now trafficking illegal weapons when you said you would never traffic weapons and guns. Okay, sure, you changed. What are we actually talking about here? So like it for me doesn't ring true. And it is also about performance. Mo isn't giving it like he did when he was cussing her out 15 years ago. That isn't necessarily just a characterization point, that's an acting point. So, whatever. Again, everybody transparently knows that I'm a Carly fan. I, I, I don't see her as wrong as other people who are not fans. I said where I thought she was wrong, and that's it. Like, that's all I got.
But I mean, that's
Um,
why I said the story isn't giving because it's not giving to people who are fans of Nina and Sona, and it's not giving to people who are fans of Carly. It's not giving to Millow fans. I mean, maybe it's giving to Jex fans because they just find the time to go bang somewhere so they get to enjoy themselves. Like, who else is enjoying? And this has been the party line with Carson led storylines for the past 3, 4 years. And that's a fact. And I like Carson, but I'm going to put it squarely on those two because they are the stars of the show, according to Frank Valentini, right? It's Sunny and it's Carly. And so they put them in storylines. And then because of the amount of guarantees each of them has, like Mo has about like 15 on Laura, but like, and then Nina or Cynthia's in third with like, I think Laura has like 15 on her. And so like the three of them have to be in storyline together just because of the way the guarantees work out. But like that just means they have to be in an episode. It doesn't mean you need to give 10, 12 minutes of the episode to this group of people. Right? It's like what Tracy was saying about the 3 minute Vanna scenes. Like we could have had 10 minutes of Vanna and just popped in to see what the hell CarSonaRewillow are doing, maybe see the Cameron thing because that was actually pretty decent when Cameron walked in on Jax. Like the scene itself was soapy because you were like, oh well, someone's gonna get red. I'm not gonna be on Cameron's side, but at least it gave you soap. But like the Carson, like I said, if you wanted to see, Michael read the shit out of Carly and her to be crying on the floor of GH, like you didn't get that. If you wanted to see Willow read the shit out of Nina and for her to be crying on the floor of GH, you didn't get that. And so like these stories are not giving because you have people in the writer's room writing Sunny like I've changed when he hasn't. You give like Carly perspective when she didn't need it. Like she could have just been doing this to get back at Nina. I wouldn't have had a problem with it, but we had to give her all this perspective. Now people don't believe it. And that was my one thing. It's like no one's gonna believe it, so do what you want. You have Nina being completely oblivious to her own fault of why her relationship with Willow was in the trash. Like everyone in, and then Drew is just out here having zero personality and zero stakes in this. Like he's already Team Carly again. So what was the point of them having a fight if now he's out here defending her? Like it's just not giving on any level. And then you have other stories. Like I hate Curtis's story, but at least I can feel like Donnell and Brooke really giving something and trying to work with what they have. Like give them a better story. You know, don't give them Hat Daddy, where's your clarinet? Like give them something real and give like CarSonaRewillow some fluff ass clarinet story. Like it's just to the point where I feel like their focus is so off and they don't seem to want to take it back to ensemble, but they don't want to admit that their stars are not necessarily generating plot and story the same way other characters would if you would just give them a chance. And now I'm ranting.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Taya.
Oh, I was gonna say, are we gonna go into hot takes? But
Oh, I had something to say about that I think is really interesting, about them like generating. I actually think that they should have been rested, um, and like more background to other people's stories, um, because even I am tired of seeing them. I think that there is something also to I mean, this is also like why I always like go hard for Carly because I'm like, okay, so y'all saying all this about Carly, but I don't hear any of this about Sunny. So Sunny lied to everybody about putting Dex on a meat hook and had them thinking Michael was lying, and where it has been the consequence for that, nowhere. We got Michael, supposedly all he can think about is Willow, but he's still scheming in the hallway with Dex. Like, we actually don't give people real motivation. So, like, the person who I should probably feel the most for in this story is Willow, and I don't. And it's really weird to not feel for like a pregnant woman with cancer. That's weird. Like I should feel like, oh my God, this poor thing. And I think that there's a way to have given her more perspective, but you have to do it. You have to actually have her talking to. I mean, like I like with her and Sasha talking, right? Like maybe more of that. Maybe them Willow talking about having everything taken from her and like feeling like even though Michael isn't like that, feeling like if she would have told him that he would have like forced her to do something in the same way Shiloh used to force her. Like use people's history to like explain what's going on with them, but they don't do that. I don't know if they think the audience is gonna just do that, but people don't make those connections. And so there's no like actual like history, personality stakes that are really put into people's decisions. And that is why soaps are good, and that is what we're missing. So that was my last little piece.
hey, I have a hot take.
Tell us.
Well, I have a lot of them. But I'll start with there's some funny lines with the Trina's parents, um, where they were saying, Trina's dad was saying, well, we didn't let Trina play in traffic as a child, and we won't let her play with Cassidines. I kind of thought that was funny. But there was also some funny. Well, I was really cracking up on Tuesday with Ryan, where Heather was talking about, oh my God, I've been waiting all my life to connect with Esme. And Ryan was like, no, you haven't. And he was just like, he's like, you're just like back in, like, he was talking about her being, in fantasy land and all this other stuff. So I thought it was funny because it's all tongue-in-cheek reference to the fact that they're basically rewriting history and Ryan is acknowledging it. So I thought that was hilarious. But I don't want to know. Do you guys want me to go down my list or we're popcorning it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, what else did I have? Oh, Nina talking about, well, what if Willow thinks of me as a cruel and self-absorbed? And I'm like, you are cruel and self-absorbed. I'm just like, some real funny ones where they're just like kind of self-aware, being tongue-in-cheek. It was crazy. Um, where to say? Oh, to the point of Tara saying, sometimes GH likes to tell us rather than show us. I thought it was really weird that, while Michael was on his diatribe with Carly, it seemed like Joss was explaining why Michael would be mad to Dex, which I thought was really interesting. She was explaining, oh, Michael's had a lot of heartbreak and this is how he feels and this is why he's mad and all this other stuff. And at the same time, he's just yelling at Carly. I was just like, why is that happening? Like, we should be able to know that. She shouldn't have to like explain that to the audience or to, well, maybe to Dex, but we didn't have to hear it. Like, we should be able to know, what makes Michael tick and what makes him angry. But at the same time, I was also a little confused because sometimes he started off with, well, you couldn't care less about her actual feelings. And I was like, Michael, are you confused with your parents? Because Sonny doesn't care less about anything, how you feel. Carly cares a lot. She just decides what she wants to do about it on her own and in the wrong way. But she cares about how Willow feels. That's why she did this. But yeah, Michael was like, you don't give a damn about Willow. I'm like, you're talking to the wrong parent because you should be talking to Sonny because that's who you're really mad at, really. So.
And he's mad at Willow, but he won't say
Yeah.
it.
Right, he won't say it. So, I mean, it was just like Michael was confused, but then Jocelyn was explaining Michael to Dex. It was really funny to me. And then I also thought some of the scenes with Austin, I was yelling at Austin because I was like, Austin, why don't you just kick his ass? You obviously can take him. Because he didn't look like, I mean, Roger Howard could probably kick that dude's ass, but he doesn't. But then, of course, they brought in the threat to Maxie, which still, I mean, he's not. Austin could have been like, I'm not with Maxie, so what are you doing? What I really want is the boss to just come out and just be real. Like, who is this boss and why do we care? Because right now I still don't care. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Those are my hot takes.
Yeah, I mean the week was not weeking for me. Um, Something I was like confused about. It was like so Laura and Dante were talking, and she like named Spencer and Cameron as like people that Esme had done something to, but not Joss and Trina. And I don't know. I think for me, I just continue to get disappointed because what I was really excited for was like a friendship foursome. I really wanted that for like Joss and Cam and Spencer and Trina. And so to not like to like not even have them discussed in that way, it's just really disappointing for me. And like to have Laura not mention at least Trina because we know she cares about her, and like what has happened. I think that it continues to get us away from the fact that Joss had the sex tape happen to her. And I think I like when soapy things happen, and I also think that one character cannot and should not hold the soapiness. And I think that that's what's happening with Jocelyn. We joke about this all the time, like back in the last teen scene that we had, which was like Maxie and Lulu and Dylan and George, like they were all a mess. At various points, everybody had done something messy. And they were sometimes simultaneously doing messy stuff. That's actually not happening in this story. And so, because of that, like the ire of the audience and like kind of the slut shaminess of the audience, like reflects just back on Jocelyn as opposed to like across the board, or like at several people, because the only person who's doing something quote soapy is Jocelyn. Like, I don't even, I mean, like, just in general, the way I've heard it, like, spoken about, even on, like, other platforms, it's like, she's hot in the pants. I'm like, whoa, y'all. Like, this, first of all, grow up. Second of all, this is soap. Everybody should be hot in the pants, actually. Like, And so like, yeah, I think that they just do a really bad job of like distributing the soapiness, if you will.
I took Laura only name dropping Spencer and Cam because they are her known grandsons.
Mm.
And so they were who the media would be like, well, like her like this girl, like if she was to be lenient on her, then it's like, well, she was dating her grandson, and then she made this revenge porn against her other grandson. And then if she went too hard on her, the same thing, like, oh, she's going so hard. Because Cyrus and the friends of Port Charles are constantly coming for Laura Collins' job. So like, she's just very nervous.
Yeah, but maybe I heard it wrong. I can go back and look. It felt like she was talking about their feelings, like the feelings of Spencer and Cam, not about the public.
I thought she was talking about the optics because she was talking with Dante about this and like
Yes.
so it
That
was how is this gonna look to the public?
that's
And
what it felt like. But then it was also like, and then what about like it felt like she was talking about their feelings. Now, if she was talking about the optics, I heard it wrong in my rewatch. But like what I heard was her concerned about Cameron and Spencer's feelings.
I think
But
it'd
I
be
get
more
it now.
trash dialogue because we seem to have a trash dialogue problem. I mean, my only hot take is that we gotta give Trina all of Sonny's airtime because I'm sick of him and I wanted to see Trina this week and I didn't get to see her.
Yeah, she wasn't on at all this week. When I like rewatched, I was like, wait, where's my girl at?
Because like
Still
as far as
napping?
I'm just saying this because my mom brought it up to me today because like I've been coming home on the weekend. She was just like, I just think it's really ridiculous that you're like paying rent in Santa Barbara and then like, you're spending the week here. And so like I just think it's really ridiculous that like Portia and Curtis are paying for a damn dorm room, but their daughter is or Portia's daughter is sleeping at home. And we can't say like Trina's name is on that door. Her picture is on the door. So it's clearly still her dorm room. Like,
Mm-hmm.
please let Trina go back to her dorm so we can see more Trina. Like, Jex can have sex someplace else. Trina pays too much rent at PCU to like be kicked out of her dorm room so Joss can be in her hot girl era. Like, and I love her hot girl era, but absolutely not. I just need more, like, give Cody's Eric screen time, Sonny's, like, at least 50% of Sonny's, because what is he doing? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Set Nina free so she could be somewhat of a decent character. Like, just give me more Trina and give me more Spencer thinking about Trina and not about being a single parent because I cannot take it. My heart cannot take much longer.
I was also confused. I'm like, this hospital show has to stop calling all DNA tests paternity test. Because even Michael was talking to Josh like, "My bring a paternity test. We're not talking about who's the daddy." Like, it's so weird. Just do better. It was like a little hate I had. And then there was something about when Violet was like, Maxie taught me this. I was like, why was Violet with Maxie?
Maybe
Nobody
it was
knows?
maybe it was a kid play date. I don't know.
Oh, maybe. I don't know how old Maxie's kids are now, so I don't know which one would be Violet's age at this point.
Yeah, how old is little boy? We don't ever get to see
James?
him, James, but we have no idea how old he is now. He could be like 15, as far as we know. Because we don't see him.
Yeah, I mean, if he's a little bit older, he could maybe be a marrow donor. Just kidding.
Yeah, and then there's the other little girl who, well,
Well,
Peter's
see,
little girl.
we
That's
know.
they don't share Westborn D. She doesn't have Westborn DNA. She
And
has
technically, you
Payson
should be
DNA.
18 to be a donor, but I just think it's weird that they're not doing more. Drew, you talking all this shit about like having this media conglomerate, y'all should be blasting out the need for bone marrow. Like that should be something that you're doing.
I mean, why isn't Jocelyn getting tested?
I agree.
Because she has Nell's kidney. Nell is Willow's twin. So obviously we know she's a match. And we know
They
that they
forgot.
don't care about how health actually works because, like, Maxie has a borrowed heart, and Lord knows that he never stopped her from giving birth or having
In the
crazy sex
woods.
marathons. Yeah, nothing. Only time it took her out was when she was in a sewer for 15 minutes with Spinelli. And she was like, oh, my heart. But, like, literally everything else.
The baby in the woods didn't take her out.
Woo!
His heart had the strongest heart that ever lived ever.
That's hilarious. So I know that Tara, you are not a Sante fan, but we on Sunday shift do love us some Sante, despite never ever seeing them
And my
because
favorite
GH.
siblings on GH.
Yeah.
See, I'm not doing this with you. Next week, they're doing. See, and I can't
You
edit.
ruined it. You almost ruined it.
I can't edit. This is the end of Black Girls in Tech. I did like a little website, like a very little placeholder, and I really got very excited when I learned how to link my Calendly to my website. I was like, Black Girls in Tech, we doing it. But anyhow, so there are a couple of Sante prompts that I wanted us to do, so that I can cut them and post them for Sante Week. Shout out to Aaron, and all of the Sante fans who are keeping our ship alive, even though GH never wants to show them. But in the words of Dom, when they are not on screen, we can assume they are making sweet, sweet love. Uh,
I want to say, Aaron, I love you. You know this. Sante fans, I kid, I kid. I'm not anti Sante, obviously. And I like that Dante is like, let me just worship Sam. We worship Sam. You know who he's not thinking about? Lulu
Stay
at
asleep.
all. He's just like, I gotta move on, I gotta choose life. And so, and if Lulu was uncoma tomorrow, which I hope she's not, I'm not even worried about Sante. Like, it makes absolutely no sense that, like, and it makes no sense that they would ever send someone away from Sam. Like, they essentially had to, like, re Jason Billy Miller quick because Kimberly McCullough was coming back and they were like, we can't have Patrick leave Sam for Robin. Doesn't even make sense. So let's have Drew become Jason, or like good Jake Doe is now Jason, and she's gonna leave Patrick for Jason, and then Patrick can happily get back with Robin. Like, I would not believe for a second that Dante would leave the the Pimp Palace, Casa Morgan, after spending all day in the Jason Morgan interrogation in memorial interrogation room to go back to like the Charles Street, mob house that his daddy bought. Absolutely not. So I say let's celebrate Sante. All that to say that.
Ooh.
Woo! That wasn't in the prompts, but we're gonna use it. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are prompts. So I will say them and I will let you think about them. So Monday is an underrated Sante moment. Tuesday is the moment that made you ship Sante. And Wednesday is favorite moments of sizzling, mind blowing chemistry. Um, so
I
let's
have
just do together. Okay. You have Monday. What's your Monday? Your underrated Sante moment.
oh I don't know if it's underrated, but it's definitely one that's my favorite. So it's the one when he has this a surprise from Sam. So essentially, he's walking into the station, and it's a long day, and he's having to explain something to this underling that he needs. And lo and behold, Sam turns around in his chair, and his face literally lights up. She says that she has a surprise in an interrogation room and it requires privacy. And she gives him a brown paper bag and he opens it and he's like, yeah, this needs some privacy. And so they go in and he requests that the officers not disturb him in the interrogation room. And he goes and closes both doors and then automatically they start making out. Now, me and my dirty mind thinking, oh, they're about to have sex in the interrogation room. I'm like, what is in the bag? Is she got a 90? What's going on? But the next segment is it's a sandwich from Sal's. So I thought that was funny, but I also thought there were some cute notes. Like, so they were having a conversation and she starts talking about their family life, right? She's like, yeah, I had to cook dinner. I was gonna take them over to your mom's because she's always cooking dinner. And he's like, yeah, but she loves cooking dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, yeah, but I wanted to do takeout, so I was standing in line. Well, one of the kids suggested that we get something from Sal's, and I was gonna bring it home for you, but then I decided to bring it to the station instead. And he was like, oh, you're such an angel. So it was just like a cute moment. I loved it. It was great. It was funny. It was romantic. It was, Sante at their best. So yay.
I love how much of that you remember. That's my favorite thing that just happened. So my favorite thing about the podcast, you remembering that whole thing. Um
Well,
my
I did some homework because you gave us the assignment. And so I was like, let me go rewatch these videos so I can break it down.
I had no
my
idea.
favorite moment was a very underrated moment, not as long as yours, but it was when they were at Liz's house and they they wait, was that Heather? Was it,
No,
either
it was
way.
best.
It was his other mom.
Yes,
And
yes.
that was one of my moments, but I'm gonna let you tell it. Go ahead.
So she needed a ride home and the whole vibe was awkward, or she needed a ride to the bus station. The whole vibe was awkward. All of a sudden, Dante offers to give him a ride, and Sam is like, she hits his hand like, bro, we're not doing that. And it just reminded me how, one, how funny they were together, two, how comfortable they are together, and three, how much they complement each other. And I think that that is like the best thing about Sante is that they don't get a lot of screen time, but they put so much history and work and love and care into every time they're able to be on screen together. So for me, that's a very underrated moment because it was so funny. Um, yeah, it was so funny, and also it was so Sam. Sam was like, "We're not taking her home. What is this? We ain't doing this."
Right.
So okay, Tuesday would be what is the moment that made you ship Sante?
Okay. This was their this is not a date moment, right? So in the beginning, they were just friends and they were just hanging out and they would do like a couple of cases together and it was a push and pull because he wasn't really trying to have her involved in his cases because he's the cop but she was also the detective and they found out that they did complement one another, but they were sitting down at the pool and they were having one of their single parent support group meetings where they're talking about their kids, and all of a sudden they're realizing that while they're sharing these stories of work and parenthood, that their dinner meeting was a little bit more than that. I mean, they had bickering yet flirty banter. Sam had the girls out and was wearing one of the khaki skirt with the slit up the side. You see all of her legs. Dante's hair was amazing, and he had his deep, husky whisper voice, which was all sexy. And then she was touching him unnecessarily, bopping him on the nose and touching his chest. And then the kiss, and this was their, I think, their second kiss. The first one, she was drunk, but this was a real kiss together. So that was great. I loved it.
Yes. So I liked Sam, or the moment that made me ship Sam, Sante. I liked them way back when they had done like the Dream crossover. Like Dante was an undercover cop, but he's playing a mobster trying to take down Sonny. So I always thought they were kind of cute. I was like, this is interesting, but I, did not dare ship because they both were with other people. But the moment when I was like, oh, this is really cute, I'm into it, was when they came back from Monaco and they showed up to the Metro Court and they saw Sonny and Carly. And Sonny and Carly was like, what y'all got going on? Y'all look a little close. And they were just like confiding in them like they were like kids, basically, or like teenagers. Like, we like each other. We're kind of doing this thing. And that was like the moment that made me ship them because I was like, oh, we're really, if they're doing this thing, I'm doing this thing. We're doing this thing. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay. What is your final prompt? Favorite moment of sizzling, mind blowing chemistry?
Hmm. They were in the hallway leaving Sunny's after Thanksgiving. So they were walking in the hallway, and Dante was sharing with Sam how he enjoyed this Thanksgiving because it's the one that he gets to share with the woman he loves. And then she was like, sharing, does it mean you like sharing all of your stuff, including the hand lotion? And he engages in some double entendre with her that she had access to all of his stuff. And then they were making out, and just almost everything that they said had some sort of double sexy meaning, including at the end where she declares that she was in the mood for some pepperoni. That was super hot. Loved it.
That was also my favorite moment. So now I have to think. Um, I really my favorite sizzling steamy Kim moment for Sante, them after axe throwing. I thought it was like fun. It was flirty. It was just like a really great use of that set. I actually missed the axe throwing set, if I'm being honest. Um, but yeah, I loved that, and I also loved because it was Sam had gone from hanging out with Carly and Olivia to like hanging out with Dante. So we got a lot of Sam that day. And it just like showed these are really important characters who have so many ties. Why don't we see them more?
Right.
That's about that.
Yeah.
Can't believe no
Well,
one said Sante banging on Jason's death day. It's crazy to me. Like that was amazing.
pizza. I ordered turkey burgers.
Mhm.
Uh,
Or like I did like Sante drunk Sam that she kept like her hoe kit for Jason, her J Sam hoe kit, and then she had to burn it. And then he was like, "Do I arrest her for burning the J Sam hoe kit?" Even though I know that Jarly is happening, like I guess there's exceptions to every rule, like that. Leo roofing them, just deciding that his siblings need to bang. Right? Glorious Sante moments. I can enjoy Sante too.
I think that the burning that was like her and Liz, and it was like actually one of my favorite Liz reactions, where she like the face that Liz made, like one of my favorites. Um, yeah. Oh, Sante, thank you for indulging me. Do we have any other things before we do the previews for next week?
Oh, I guess it was kind of a hot take, but it was
Please.
I enjoyed Esme and Heather Weber scene. where Esme was just like, "You're weird, and I'm going to go," because Heather was putting it on hella strong, and she was just like, why do you care about what's going on with me? And why are you just like leave my child? Like, I don't know. Whatever I do with my child is my business. It's not up to you. So I enjoyed that. That was funny. Esme recognizing crazy, even though she doesn't recognize it in herself, was fun.
Ooh,
I
I
mean,
mean,
that's
who is more
Heather.
unhinged, Nina or Heather?
I don't know, because Nina has like a clown car uterus, but like Esme is Heather's late in life uterusless baby. So she
Right.
doesn't have a uterus. She got that shit removed in the 70s, but they baby keep coming out of it. So like it's between Nina's clown car uterus and like Heather's Stargate uterus, was just people materializing out of it fully fucking grown.
Bam.
I would be
I,
surprised if they did some sort of thing where Ryan was like, actually, Esme's not your child. You just seem to think she is, but I slept with somebody else because it's just like, and I'm letting you believe this so you can do whatever you need. So, what I need you to do to get what I want done. I think that would be hilarious, yet not shocking at all.
They want us to believe that these people in their 50s, this like person who was at least like 50 years old, had a one night stand pregnancy. Like she said,
no, they had a love affair in the
Yeah,
cabin. It was
they
just
had
a
a
one
little.
night stand.
oh, okay, so just a few days. Like, how long is someone's cycle? You only fertile for like 3 days. A
And they were
month?
together all 3 days.
A cabin of love, hot,
Stargate.
crazy sex.
Just fully grown, like Franco, Stephen Lars, Esme, all of them just full ass grown adults when we see them.
Yep. That's how Heather get down. That's
Same
how
with
she get
Nina,
down.
I guess, was clown car. You was like, she probably had like 6 more babies in there. We don't know.
I'm still mad at Phyllis. Phyllis, how you ain't know? You was a nurse in the room.
Right. And nobody asked her. They just really don't use Phyllis the way they need to.
And Willow has to be Chad Duell is my age in real life, which is 35. And like Willow, like Katie is in her 20s still. So like and same with the actress who plays Nell. Like, so they have to be like this baby was born in the 90s, like early 90s, maybe. There were ultrasounds in the 90s. Like, there were
Yeah.
ways to tell there was more than one fucking baby.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, as a nurse, Phyllis should have known.
Yeah. All right. Y'all ready for next week?
Sure.
So two big things that are happening next week. We got obviously Kim walking in on Joss and Dex. And apparently Joss is gonna ask Kim to keep quiet to protect Dex from Sunny. My girl has never lacked anything but audacity. So um, and then we also have Nicholas calling in Liz's mom to see if she can help erase Esme's memories. So those are big banner stories. Those are things that we found out in Soap Opera Digest. Monday, Nicholas asks for Laura's support. Spencer surprises Sunny. Ava and Austin find common ground. Dante sets a deadline for Heather. Liz gets a shock. So, assuming the shock is her mom. Tuesday, Sunny presses Dex. That's what she said. Nicholas makes his case. Laura is there for Liz. Anna and Valentine do some exploring. And Jocelyn makes a big request. Wednesday, Carly confides in Jocelyn. Laura warns Martin. Spencer and Trina have questions for Cam. Charlotte blasts Victor. Hey, Charlotte, you're back. Olivia counsels Drew. Olivia's like, my girl did what she did. Thursday, Kanye's fave. Cody makes a connection. Nina confides in Sasha. A lot of confiding next week. A lot of confiding and counseling. Drew makes his feelings clear. Trina questions Spencer's motives. Lord. Brooklyn and Ned visit Willow. Finally, Friday, Ava stakes her claim. Laura delivers bad news. Willow has a big decision to make. Nina is surprised by what she sees. Victor is furious. Obviously, I can't deliver that as good as Sandra, but here we are. Thank you, TV guys, for giving me those previews. Yeah. That's what we got for next week.
Woohoo.
Woo.
I'm really looking forward to Ava and Austin's story, but that's pretty much it.
I am looking forward to making sure that I am offline when Jocelyn asks asks Cam to keep quiet about debts.
Let me just say, I am Team Jocelyn, and I hope Cameron tells her fuck off. Like, absolutely not, girl. Absolutely not. No, do. Hello.
Like he gets on the phone right now.
Sonny, did you take a picture?
Right.
Look at you, what your employees be doing. You paying him for this?
That would be funny. I hope he does that too, but he's probably not.
I need it.
Jocelyn is my girl, and I'm gonna stand beside her in the request.
I will be standing beside her, but I also understand, like, I need drama. I need Cameron. Give this young man some due besides pouring coffee and making BLTs for serial killers. Like,
let him have a messy moment. Let him be all up in the business.
I'm gonna be Team Jocelyn, right? Because this whole situation is ridiculous. But I understand his feelings, maybe potentially in his mind, this is how they got back together. Like he found out about Willow, and then he goes to her dorm room and she's like, oh my God, Cameron, you do care. And then they like make out and like they get back together. And instead she found this he's generically attractive white man with no shirt on in her dorm room looking for sushi. I was about to say, everyone keeps saying it's pizza. They wanted sushi.
They wanted sushi, yeah.
Well,
you're like, well,
he was into fish, which makes me think he's never mind. Let's keep it as family friendly as we can. But yeah, so I'm here for Cameron being a whole ass mess.
yes.
Snitch. And I never like snitches, but snitch. Ask Sonny if Dex is selling his ass, does Sonny get a cut?
Oh my God. Well, what a way to end their week.
I'm sorry.
No, please never, ever, ever apologize for that. Ever. Please never. All right, y'all. Well, thank you for listening, for hanging with us for another day. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. Join us for Trina Tuesdays as we uplift the character of Trina as well as her portrayer, Tabiana Ali, every week. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye, y'all.